Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Emerge I-51 UK Masters. I'm Malus, with me is Penguin, and we are getting into the finals games, and Penguin apparently is not with me. That is a little bit worrying. Hopefully we can fix this quick little tech issue, and we will be able to get hold of Penguin.
There we go.
Penguin is back, everything is good in the world.
Okay.
Penguin, we're getting into game number 1 of a best of 3 here.
We are.
The last game of the night.
It is, and it is in fact the Consolation Finals, which basically means the loser of the winner bracket finals and the winner of the loser bracket finals, which basically means the winner of this goes on to the grand finals. The loser finishes third place. Still good, well done by both of them. And we're going to be getting into this game. It's going to start on Habitation Station, and our two players in the top left spawn location. Spawning here as our blue Protoss player, we have FnaticHarstem. And his opponent spawning opposite him in the top right spawn location. We have our red Zerg player upsetting Dignitas Bling in the last round. It is FMOurk.
That last round game, of course, unfortunately wasn't able to be broadcast, but it was a 2-1 victory for Orc, who came back after losing the first map. All 3 games went on for a substantial amount of time, actually. They were all over the 20-minute mark, so serious games, no cheesy wins or anything like that. And this is going to lead to a very interesting case. Whoever wins this series advances into tomorrow morning's grand finals to face off against Tefl.
Yeah, there's a lot of money on the line. The winner of this tournament takes home £1,250, which is approximately $4 million. No, it's like close to $2,000 though, something like that.
It'll be over $2,000. It'll be
a lot of money. No, not over. Something like that. Something like $2,000-ish. It's a lot of money, guys. So these guys definitely want to want to do the best that they possibly can do. But I mean, Harstem, one of the favorites to take this tournament, but so is Bling, and Orc has already dispatched him. So definitely looking forward to seeing what he can show us today in this matchup.
Orc, of course, is someone who can play all 3 races at GM level, which is why seeing his Zerg today is quite a nice thing. Last I-Series he played Terran and wasn't as successful, or anywhere close to as successful, with that race. So I'm glad to see that he's gone back to Zerg for his sake, and now he's got a serious shot of making it through into the finals.
Yeah, he really does, and Zerg just seems to be suiting him really, really well this tournament. And we do see him just playing with a standard opening, just pool into hatchery here. Meanwhile, over on the other side, he has confirmed that it is in fact a gateway expand here from Harstem, which is... I actually like the standard play better than the really weird cannon rush that we saw from Harstem earlier. Basically, for those of you who didn't see it, Harstem basically put a pylon here, then a pylon here, and a forge, and then walled it off, and just cannoned that. And
he did a cool thing, though. He pushed the
probe
probe
really
through.
Cool thing. Yeah, I was about to ask Maddles, how does he get the probe through there? It's a full wall off, and then he just built 2 pylons and pushed it through.
Yep. You have to build it just right there. You have to put the probe touched up against it, and then go pylon, and then
it's very cute, very cute. But it did not work, so I'm glad to see him just reverting to the normal thing. What am I talking about? There's a gold base.
There is a gold base. This is some very cool stuff. By the way, someone in chat has been very nice and has pointed out that it'd actually be $2,097.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
I said it was over $2,000, didn't I? Oh!
Wow, well done. Well done, Maddles.
That in-game currency, head. It's like, I know.
Such math.
It's what you do. When you become a caster, you just learn how to, like, change different amounts of money. All of our esports dollars.
Yeah, we have so many of them. We're earning millions for this event.
It's crazy.
We have Chrono Boost into the Cybercorp, by the way.
Okay, this is really important.
This is important because this means that the gateways are going to have warp gate pretty much as soon as the additional gateways finish, which could lead to some pretty cool pressure here. We have a forge coming in as well, which interests me. I was expecting this to be a robo. What we see sometimes is people going for a 2-base immortal all-in from this, but this is a forge, not a robo. So this is something I haven't seen before. I'm interested to see if Harstem's just looking to play a macro game here with a gold base.
It'd be really interesting to do, and it's actually quite alright that he's chrono boosting onto the Cybercore as opposed to getting more probes out, because he doesn't require as many probes at the gold base. There's 2 less mineral patches. They return more, so he can get the same economy with less probes, and it frees up that chrono boost onto the Cybercore, meaning he gets a more aggressive style earlier. Or not necessarily more aggressive, but he gets more units.
Yes. Now the downside, though, is that this base will mine out so fast. So Harstem, usually that's why you see 2 base plays on this map if they take the gold, because the base mines out significantly faster than a normal base, and it's harder to defend. So usually you want the influx of economy, and you want to kill them before it gets to that stage where you're going to have trouble actually keeping your economy going. Meanwhile, we have a couple of Zealots in here. A lot of Lings have already been made by Orc, though, and Orc is able to clear this up. Speed finishing here, able to surround the Zealots, and Harstem really having a hard time, not able to do really anything with these Zealots.
No, this is that critical mass of Lings that is required to shut them down. Once you start getting out sort of like 4, 5, 6 Zealots, it's really difficult for Lings alone to combat them because the surface area is so restricted. But in smaller number of Zealots, you're able to just flood with Lings and trade relatively well. So, good control there by Orc. It lowers his drone count slightly, but he's actually going for quite a bit of pressure. 4 roaches on their way up.
We have a Twilight Council coming on in, so I'm leaning towards Blink play here. That's what it seems to me, but it still seems very, very weird that he would go for Zealot aggression into Blink play with a gold base. It's not something I've seen before, but it's definitely not an Immortal all-in because we have a Forge and there's a third...
No, it's not. Third base.
What? Okay, this is just a really weird build out of Harstem. I'm liking it. We do have the third base coming down at the natural expansion at the 8-minute mark, so he's really playing heavy, heavy, heavy on the economy here. Orc, if he finds out about that, could definitely shut that down. There's nowhere near enough to defend that, but he has not seen it as of yet.
So Orc still pumping out a lot of roaches, but also droning simultaneously. So he's pumping out drones with the spare minerals he's got due to only having the 3 gas geysers now, soon to be 4. He doesn't actually have enough gas to continually push roaches. So I like this. It's balancing it out. It allows him to apply some pressure, and he's now gonna he's gonna discover it.
He is.
So many sentries.
Yeah, that's not really gonna be able to be pressured here. So Harstem looks like he has a pretty safe third base at his natural, which is a weird sentence to say, but all right. Orc count. Orc is up by 8. He's got a gold base himself, so the gold base has been equalized. They're essentially on even bases, except that this is not quite done yet. And it looks like Harstem wants to be getting a little bit aggressive here. I don't think he's going to be able to do too much. There's a lot of units out here already for Orc, including 12 roaches. Hydra Den's on the way, and that's going to be 1 sentry dead. So the Lings traded off for a sentry. Not a bad trade there to start things off. Harstem, I think he should probably just stay at home for now. This doesn't seem like a good army to push against roaches with.
Roach speed is nearly done as well. It's worth noting, though, that Harstem is getting ahead in the upgrades. Currently, he's at 1-0 with +2, already a quarter done, whereas Orc is nowhere close to that. He does have an evolution chamber, which is researching +1 carapace, but that's not too far along yet, so big leads coming out upgrade-wise for Harstem.
Yeah, for sure, and that's just another advantage that he has here. And the big thing that he hasn't had is the army, but he's been really, really good with his positioning. He's been really, really good with his splitting of his army between the 2 bases, just to make sure that neither of them is really penetrable. And as a result, he may not have had a big army before, but as a result, he got a good economy going. He has really good upgrades going. He's got good tech, and he's looking in a pretty reasonable spot. But Orc's tech is not that far behind. He's got a decent number of Hydras on the way here. He's already got 5 out, 6 more in production, a Hive on the way. So we may see a Roach Hydra Viper timing out of him.
And a Roach Hydra Viper timing is always really strong. It always comes down to Vipers give you a lot of control until High Templar are out. And then they have to be kind of dancing around, avoiding feedbacks and things like that. But until the feedbacks are there, a Protoss player does have a lot of trouble trying to stop those Vipers from just getting down the bigger ducks onto the Colossi. But note this, Templar Archive's already on its way down from Harstem, and the reason he can afford to do this double tech at only about 1145 is thanks to this gold base early on, and the really quick 3 bases overall.
Yeah, and this is just really going to be nice for him. He's got a pretty solid army already, to be honest. Like, the Immortals, this many sentries, makes this pretty scary. I don't think Orc's going to want to push into him with this just yet, not before he gets Vipers out. Orc also taking the 4th base behind us here at the ordinary 4th place. Also getting the gas is relatively early, so he really wants to be investing a lot in gas here. Vipers, of course, are pretty expensive gas-wise, 200 gas each. And Harstem's doing a great job just always spotting with these Phoenixes, hallucinated Phoenixes. I seem to be seeing one like every 10 seconds. Like, they're doing a very good job just making sure that Harstem knows exactly what's going on. But the problem right now is that this army looks a little scary, but there isn't really any splash yet.
No, and until those Colossi get there, if Orc is able to get into a strong position, he can really trade well against this, assuming a large concave can be achieved by Orc. Without that splash, this army has problems. Force fields are really the only tool available to Harstem to slice up Orc's army into bite-sized chunks.
Yeah, and basically, it's going to be entirely reliant on Harstem's force fields if Orc decides to push into this, but One Colossus is now out. He is going to be able to get another one soon enough. He's chronoing that on out as well. And then here we do have... Thermal Lance is a little bit more behind than I think he would have liked, but it's going to be finishing up in about a minute and a half or so. So overall, Harstem is going to be very strong in about a minute.
However, we've already got a Orc who's looking pretty strong now, especially since 2 of those Vipers do have energy. A third one has also popped out. It's consuming at the gold base. It's going to be really quite tense. The High Templar have to get some good feedbacks down for Harstem, because his Colossus count being so low can easily become 0.
There's no Storm, though, either. So while this army looks really, really scary, you have to take into account that Storms will not be in effect. The Templar are simply there to feed back the Vipers, which, if they're able to successfully do, that's going to be huge. That's the most pivotal part of this entire engagement. Whether or not the Abducts or Blinding Clouds are landed, and whether or not... Ooh, this is cute as well. We have an additional couple of Colossi being hallucinated here just to try to just fake out the... Oh, wow, the pulls come in. And the Viper a little bit. They did take one of the hallucinated Colossi, but they got both of the real ones.
And that's the big thing. Orc now has got a pretty large army supply lead. He's up by 10 army supply, which doesn't sound like a huge chunk, but with those splash damage, Roach Hydra very efficient against the rest of his forces. The force fields are looking really good at the moment over past and able to zone out a lot of these units. But there's just so much Zerg.
The
Another good abductor.
That was a great abductor. The last Colossus, the one that just popped, no longer standing here. Orc trying to push his way through. The force field slowly but surely running out. Still no Storm. There's a lot of energy on that Templar, but nothing to do. The Hydras are being forced back, though. The upgrades are very solid here for Harstem, sitting at +3 against the 1/1 of his opponent. And these Hydras don't actually have Hydra speed, so a lot of them are going down in the retreat. He's got to beat up the Roaches that have just spawned. Then he can definitely take the fight on this army. But a nice flank from a couple of Stalkers here is going to allow Harstem to pick up another couple of these Hydras for free. But he's still so low on the supply, and he doesn't have a single Colossus with the army. One is about to spawn.
Okay, the good side for Harstem is on that retreat, he leveled out the resources lost somewhat. But it's still being a better trade for Orc so far, which is something that you hardly ever should see in a ZVP. If a Zerg player is trading more efficiently, it's a pretty good indicator that something's going wrong for the Protoss.
Yeah, the Protoss generally have the more cost-efficient army because the Zerg can just remake theirs so fast. We have some moderately nice time warps going down, but they're not really being utilized too much. They're just buying a little bit of time for Harstem here, and this is a pretty nice concave. There
like
aren't any force. Wow, this is actually a big, big deal. There's only one Colossus in here right now as well. There is energy for both Blinding Cloud and an Abduct here. We'll probably see one of each. Blinding Cloud coming down there in the middle of the army there. It's forced to kind of move out there. Now the Concave coming in here for Orc. A much better Concave for him. The Blinding Cloud really helping out a lot. Orc is up by about 40 supply here, remaxing immediately on 14 more Hydralisks, chasing down this army. This is not a good engagement position for him, though. Harstem could not have asked for a better fight. But meanwhile, his gold base is under siege.
It's about to go down. Needs one more shot. Does get taken out. A lot of these probes likely to die too. These Roaches have to get sacrificed by Orc because he wants to free up supply. His Ultralisk cavern has just finished. He's getting the chitinous plating. He wants some Ultras to complement these Hydralisks.
Well, we do have a double expansion coming out of Harstem here. He knows that he needs to do something because there is not that much going for him right now. He's getting a Nexus here at the natural third base. It's not the gold. And then at the bottom left expansion as well. Orc, though, once again maxed out, but still only on 1/1. His +2 is a good minute away from finishing. But Harstem hasn't been keeping up with the upgrades either. He has not been getting the +1 armor at all, and now he's lost the Forge, so he has to remake that. And he's doing that right now, but that's going to take even longer to actually get those upgrades continuing here. So overall, one of the biggest advantages that Harstem had is kind of just disappearing here.
The Stalkers trying to get into a decent position just to try and flank some units as they come through, but not able to do so at the moment. Just backing up with this army. There is Storm now. That's going to help. The 2 Colossi are needed. For the moment, no Ultralisk. Chitinous plating is about to finish up. These Storms could really wreck a lot of the Hydras very quickly. Yeah,
this army's almost pure Hydralisks. Only 12 Roaches. The rest were 44 Hydras before the fight started here. But we are going to be seeing a nice flank from the north here with the Hydras, allowing for a bit of a surround here. The Colossi are dead. There's no more splash damage here. Where are the Templar? I guess they were also picked off. GG well played. Orc takes game number 1 against Harstem. That was some really solid play. That is how he beat Blink.